We are back, bottom of the hour, and it is a feature we call Straight Out of Compton. Will's got takes, Taylor's got reaction. Will, give me the first one from the AFC East.
The New England Patriots have a legitimate shot of winning the AFC East.
This was something that Will Compton said to me on the plane on the way here to New York, and I chuckled at him. I laughed at him. We end up looking at the schedule. Who do you have to beat in the AFC East? You have to beat the Bills. They already did that in Buffalo. Now they've got the Titans, the Saints, and the Browns next. That is one of the big wins of being bad the year before. Your schedule is much easier. If you've already beat the Bills once at home, why not do it again?
I mean, they would be a year ahead of schedule, right?
A year ahead of schedule. But Greeny, yes, they definitely have the coach.
Yeah.
You see the way this team is responding when they go out and get that emotional win. Vrabel, Diggs, running to the locker room, the leadership that's happening. We've been on those teams. We know what it looks like. They're feeling it right now.
Yeah, Drake May is playing outstanding. I'm not sure if his alma mater has noticed, but they're playing extremely well. Okay, give me another one. Stay in that division.
Mike McDaniels is coaching for his job this weekend.
It is essentially what the conversation has kind of been all year long as we've been on Get Up. A couple weeks ago, they're playing the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. We say after that week, do the Miami Dolphins, do they have a coach?
Right.
They have a competitive game against them.
Yeah.
They win against the Jets, and then they blow a 17-0 lead last week. This is one of those games where back into Mike McDaniels, all the quirks and everything is getting a little old to us. Now it's time to see if that coaching carousel is going to take place.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I kind of like him against the Chargers this weekend.
You like the Dolphins?
I kind of like the
Joel
Dolphins.
coming back possibly?
Against the banged-up Chargers. All right, give me one more tonight. Eagles at Giants.
This is it. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley are going to combine for 225-plus yards and 3 touchdowns tonight.
Last time they played, they had 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Picture this, Greeny. Saquon Barkley sits there with some bifocals on the end of his nose with a yellow pad and a pen while he listens to Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown go over their couples therapy session. It's might have what needed to happen. It took maybe an hour too long. I don't know what his rates are, but I think it's going to pay off in a big way for them today.
So they had what he's talking about is the players meeting that those 3 stars had this week.
Just those 3. Usually it's all 53 guys.
Right.
5 guys are saying the same thing. It's really just them 3 being like, what the hell are we going to do?
They hit the group chat. Let's get the boys together. They're sitting
That's
down.
all Saquon.
They've got a short week. They got to get it figured out. Their offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, has been the center of a lot of the conversation. Here's what he had to say about his team's offense.
We just really got to just focus on staying ahead of the sticks and kind of advancing it forward. And we've done a good job. We just got to keep progressing and working through this. Everybody's into it. Everybody's being super detailed on what they need to do. We just got to keep pushing it because when we've done what we need to do, we've moved the ball extremely well at a high rate. So we just got to continue to do that.
Okay, so the only thing about that is it's not true. The Eagles' offense has not been moving the ball at all. I mean, it's just not what's happening here. They are 30th this year in total offense. They are 31st in passing offense. Only the Titans, who have the rookie quarterback Cam Ward, have passed for fewer yards per game than the Eagles have, and we have a bunch of other stats we could show you to make the point we thought that one would do enough. So, Dan, I put you on the case here. You weren't with us on Monday. Again, you had the game. So we talked at great length about the Eagles and what's right and what's wrong and what they can do to get it fixed. And they're doing it all in a short week. What do you have?
Well, you can't be simple and predictable. And that's where they are offensively. You can be simple, but you got to make it confusing to defenses. I'd say this, the number one starting point for me is that they are in the shotgun basically every snap. Jalen Hurts has taken 6 snaps underneath the center. And so there, at times you can get tells. See how far Saquon Barkley is behind Jalen Hurts? Mm-hmm. When he's there, it's one of 2 things. They're either running the football or they're running this little slip RPO where they go and ball fake it, and then they're trying to get a pick from up top and leak somebody into the flat. Now, there's times when it has success, and there's times when I think defenses get an understanding of it. You see how his toes are about at the back heel of Jalen Hurts. Again, I think that there's more than not, indicators that this is going to be either that downhill run or that little RPO that they run. And this ball's handed off to Saquon Barkley. Now, if you go to where Saquon's a little bit more attached at the hip, if you watch where his toes are almost equivalent to Jalen Hurts, that's more often than not going to be a pass for this offense. Now, it's not 100%. It's not a black and white guarantee. But when this is the downside to living in the gun. And this isn't a war on shotgun. But I'll reiterate, they've been underneath the center 6 times this year if you take away the tush push. So when you live in the gun like that, there's defenses watching you and they're gathering tells of, Is it likely a pass? Now, the reason this matters is on 1st and 2nd down. You know this. Defenses are gathering information. Hey, when Saquon's a little bit more attached to the hip, we can be anticipating pass. When he's got that depth, we're thinking run. We're thinking RPO. I think that's another layer that's hurting this offense.
It's an outstanding tape, and it gives you something to watch for as you get set to watch the game tonight. I want to point out one number here. Hembo put together a bunch of unbelievable stats, but C18 is my particular favorite one. The reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year is because Saquon Barkley provided them the best thing you can have in the NFL: explosive plays with no risk. Basically, every team in the NFL has to put some risk, where you got to throw the ball into harm's way to create explosive plays. Last year, they did not. He had 21 rushes of at least 20 yards. This year, he has none. So that, to me, is the difference between the Eagles of a year ago and now. They were creating explosive plays while still being incredibly risk-averse. They remain risk-averse, but they're not getting the explosive plays, and as a result, their offense has completely bogged down. They are 3 and out waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think this falls back on the offensive line. We've talked about it last week. You need to be more creative in your run game play calling. But the offensive line, Saquon Barkley is getting 0.8 yards before he's getting contacted by a defender. Anytime you're going through that, it doesn't matter how good Saquon Barkley is, they need to keep him cleaner up front and establish some holes so that it makes their passing game a whole lot better. You get the safeties to start coming a little bit. You can run more of a route tree with A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And then your offense starts to feel a little more like it's gelling. If you have one guy missing here, one guy missing there on the offensive side, on the offensive line, it's not going to work out well for you. Luckily, the Giants are giving up 5.2 yards per carry.
I also think this, and I'll go back to this, and your perspective of it matters. They don't really ever, and they didn't do it a ton last year, but I feel like they did it more. They don't really run at defenses right now. You know, it's a little bit more of a lateral run game, and I think that's attached to Saquon not necessarily getting to the line of scrimmage. They've got one play-action pass completion to A.J. Brown this year. That
5 games.
That blows my mind that this offense doesn't run play action either. That's going to help your run game as well.
Chef, to get in.
And on top of being predictable and finding tells that Dan has spotted,
which we're
awesome. Talking about an offensive line that's also been banged up. Cam Jurgens is coming off the shoulder surgery. Landon Dickerson already ruled out tonight. Lane Johnson hasn't looked healthy. And you mentioned the Hembo stat before. Here's one other Hembo stat.
Yeah.
Last season, the Eagles' offensive line created 126 yards per game before contact. This year, that number is cut in half, 62 yards per game before contact. So they're not getting the type of push that they got last year.
There you see the numbers. So, Will, there's a part of me that feels ridiculous sounding alarm bells. You know, they're still 4 and 1. Everyone would love to have their problems, certainly if you could have their talent. But it doesn't look right. Like, just to my eye, it doesn't look right, and it doesn't look sustainable. How concerned should a hardcore Eagles fan be about his team's chances of repeating as Super Bowl champs?
Very concerned. It's easier to kind of hide the drama and what's going on when you're 4 and 1 and coaching from 4 and 1, playing from 4 and 1. The only optimism that I have, if I could give you any optimism, my God, this hairline. But this players only meeting between the 3-headed monster, Jalen, Saquon, and A.J. Brown, I like to envision it as a sword King Arthur got to pull out of the rock. This is a statement game for them. All the noise that's going on around the building, they have a massive opportunity tonight because that breakdown you had was phenomenal. That's how old Willie C got to play a little bit in the league, is all these tendencies
all that
offenses show. There's no creativity on offense. There's no identity on offense. You guys have talked about the O-line. You know, they're getting hit behind the line of scrimmage 45% of the time, a 40% pressure rate, which is second highest in the NFL. They need some identity tonight, and I am optimistic that it will be against the Giants.
I've got the Giants solely because no one else does. You know my rule. If everyone thinks something's going to happen,
You've been
somehow
right